Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Beyond Second Cognition. I'm Beall. The topic of this discussion is expanding your thinking, what the Great Awakening is about. I just recently released a short volume called Facing the Truth Redo, what the Great Awakening is about. It's a follow-up volume to a book I published in 2016 called Facing the Truth regarding 100 years of conspiracy, and how people need to expand their thinking, as endorsed multiple times by Q. The Great Awakening, as it's called, has broader ramifications than just exposing the political fraud in D.C. I did a podcast presentation on this channel almost a year and a half ago. It's only about 9 minutes. It was called Russia or China. This was during the midst of the Russia collusion hoax that was going on in Congress. While everybody was focusing on Russia, I was telling people that's not the problem. The problem is in China. Well, here we are a year and a half down the road from that, and the Chinese perfidy is finally starting to show up in our media. It wasn't hard to predict when you know some history, when you expand your perception beyond tunnel vision focus. While most people are looking at the corruption in D.C., which is now being unmasked as corruption pervading all levels of America and Europe for that matter, because there's going to be correlations in every Western nation of this communist incursion if people investigate it. The Chinese communists are currently the proxy state operating with an organization that most people don't know about called the British Fabian Society. British Fabian Society was organized in, I think, 1884, and they were a Marxist organization spawned by known communists at the time. The business interests in the United States and the Western world have become joined with communism, and I explain this in this book. I'm not going to spoil the contents of the book. But this little book is just under $10. It has quite a few videos, book references in it, so the book in and of itself is not just standalone. There's some lengthy videos in there that should be viewed to educate and further people's awareness. But on a broader scale, the Great Awakening is not just about exposing political corruption and bringing those that are guilty of their misdeeds to justice. The Great Awakening is about humanity stepping into a newer level of awareness and becoming better than what we are as a species. And so the book was put out as a primer for people that need to understand that the Great Awakening is bigger than what we think. I've got other books that I've written, explaining the shift in consciousness for one, Mission Earth, and my latest works, The Flesh Robot and Flesh Robot 2, which will be out very soon. I'm getting close to wrapping that up. But if you want to know what's going on in the world and why it's going on, this little Facing the Truth Redo book will give you some heads up, and it's also something you can share with friends, particularly when you couple it with the original Facing the Truth book, which is also inexpensive. If you want a quick overview with substantial video support by people that have done some really good production work on YouTube and interviews with former KGB agents and things like that, the book is a very good education opportunity. We have to expand from just local politics and look at things from a geopolitical standpoint. We also have to look at it from the advancement of our species standpoint. So for those wanting to really expand your thinking, expand your awareness, find out what the Great Awakening is really about, at least an overview, then you might want to pick up this book. Educate yourselves. Wean yourselves from the narratives that are being fed to you and that have been fed to humanity for 6,000 years. But you got to start. And this little book is an excellent starting point. For those of you doing the work, stay the course and don't give up on yourselves.